Imagine being a young kid, walking into school in a tank top and shorts because it's blazing hot outside. It's the second week of school, and here in the South, August still counts as summer weather, well into November. Even though it is treacherously hot outside, a teacher stops you because your shoulders are somehow distracting the other classmates. Most likely in this scenario, you're female, as female students are more likely to be dress coded. Not only has your day been interrupted, you're missing classes because you have to go cover up. Now you wear the sweater of shame, and at recess you get so hot you nearly pass out. How is this any how is any of this okay? Why are we teaching our young students that they should be covering their body even on a hot summer day so it doesn't sexually bother the other students in elementary and middle schools of all places? In this speech, I'll talk about how dress codes are wrong because they promote gender inequality in education, are dangerous to children's mental and physical health, and sexualize minors in what would otherwise be a safe environment. Gender inequality is not an unspoken topic, but where does it start? When you interrupt a young girl's time in class to make her change clothes because the boys are distracted, you're indirectly telling her that the boy's education is more important. In all my education, I have never, not once, seen a boy get dress coded for distracting the girls. It may have been for offensive language on a shirt, but not for having exposed shoulders or a shirt that may reveal cleavage. Most dress codes are also using gendered language, like girls must not wear spaghetti straps. For example, NEA News interviewed several parents and professionals on this topic. Marcy Kutzer, a fourth grade teacher in Las Vegas, Nevada, said that the underlying reason for dress codes was the so-called distractions. Let's assume that a female student wearing a tank top or shorts that do not pass the fingertip rule is distracting a male student. Even if this is 100% the situation, instead of teaching male students to respect females and in some way themselves as responsible human beings, they just take away the distraction and tell the females that they are wrong. This creates entitlement. Males are deemed more important. How could this be avoided? People in power are taking female students away from their learning environment because it can affect the male students. This inequality can lead to many mental and physical health problems. The inequality I explained before puts a burden on the female student. It is suddenly their job to make sure their gender is not compromising the male's education. So sure, female students are important, but not because they are humans who have the right to learn, but because they have a job to make sure the male students have a distraction-free learning environment. With this frame of mind, why not take women out of schools completely? They aren't getting the same education anyways. Of course, that seems drastic and I don't agree with it, but that's the message that's being delivered. That message plays a huge role on female students' mental health. They feel inferior. They read about how women took charge and gained them many rights, like the right to vote and to own a home. So why do they still get treated like this? Imagine these thoughts going through your head so often. Should I be stronger? I'm scared of ridicule. I'm worried of getting in trouble and getting detention. It's so hot outside, but I can't wear shorts because the only shorts that fit me don't pass the fingertip rule. It's maddening. Besides the obvious effects on mental health, dress codes can also be physically harmful. Sometimes for certain body types, minding the dress code and dressing for the weather simultaneously is impossible. Dress codes don't keep in mind the wide range of body types. Some girls will never be able to find shorts that pass the fingertip rule that fit them. You have long legs? Oh well. Now you have to overheat and get heat exhaustion when you go outside for recess. And the Mayo Clinic says that heat exhaustion directly leads to a heat stroke, which is life-threatening. And that one way to prevent it? Dress accordingly to the weather. Lastly, and of equal importance, dress codes sexualize minors. You heard me right, dress codes sexualize minors. There are only a handful of students that are 18, and most being below it. Why are tank tops distracting to the males? It comes down to attraction, right? I don't know about all of you, but I have never had a male student speak up and say that female clothes were distracting to them. Maybe because they're afraid to speak up? But maybe it's more likely that male students in elementary school don't think that way yet. And in high school, they've been taught the decency to keep their thoughts and hands to themselves because they haven't been exposed to that so much. So, who is it that decides what's distracting? Why do they think it's distracting? If a young male doesn't speak up, who is it that's speaking up? Are we saying that a 30-year-old guy should decide that a 9-year-old's clothes are distracting? What made him come to that conclusion? When we start asking these questions, it really shows the misogynistic, creepy ways that have been a core foundation of our educational system. One last quick point to make: it's also unfair to our male students. We're making them the villain before they've had a chance to be anything yet. It's hard to raise equalist heroes when we give them the role of the villain on the first day of school. So in conclusion, I hope you can now see how dress codes are unfair and are harmful to our educational system. Some might say that dress codes or even uniforms can regulate the environment. But why are we regulating? And what about that environment are we regulating? I know a few of you are future educators, and we all have the possibility of becoming parents one day. Teach your children that their bodies are their own. Teach young men to be mindful and women that their bodies are theirs to control and no one else's. Women aren't distractions, and men aren't the villains.